How would you make a wood lathe? Let me show you how I did it. So this is the lathe here. Got a couple of 2x4s that had around, it's probably a 8-foot 2x4 total, and it's 3-foot, 3-foot sections. Then I've got another piece of 2x4 in the center between them here, and it's dropped down a little bit so I can put it in my workbench vise on my bench here. And that holds it in place. That way I can take it off and set it in a corner if I'm not lathing. And so the three pieces of 2x4, I've got a couple of pieces of 4x4 that's 12 inches high on both sides here. I've got dowels, a hole drilled through the 2x4 and into the dowel. It's probably about halfway through the 4x4 here. And I wanted dowels, that way I can pull it off, move the post here, and make another hole and hold it in place there. But so far, I've just finished this yesterday, so I haven't needed anything more than this size. And most of my turning will probably be about this piece of stock here. I think it's about 16 inches roughly. And so that way I can make spindles for bow drill sets like crazy. I'm going to do some hand reels with it, some bowls. You can do bowls, like I was saying. It goes on one side, and then you have a piece of stock coming to the center of the bowl, and the bowl would come out right here, and you just kind of turn from the side here. Not trying to teach how to lathe, just teaching how to show on the pole lathe that I put in my workshop. You can see up top here, I was going to use inner tube, but it didn't get as much springiness to it. And so I've got a bungee cord. I might actually take a couple more bungee cords and put up there with it just to double the power. Although this seems to be working pretty fine, pretty nice. Got my piece of fence picket. And most of this I had laying around just from fixing the fence, privacy fence and things like that. But the essential piece is the two bolts here. And they're 8-inch bolts. I've got it coming through. I've got a couple of nuts and washers on there. This one I took the washer off and reset the nut. That way I can tighten this better, easier. I only have to turn one side instead of both tightening this one. Cords wrapped around. This is a piece of natural fiber rope. Got it wrapped around a couple of times. You can see how I'm going to push the foot pedal here. You can see right there. And I kind of like this end of the board free, and I made it longer. And I tried a short one and it didn't work very good. It was kind of a pain. And some people, they'll peg this down, but I kind of like it. That way I can move it around and use either foot. I can move the other direction, stand facing this way if I want to. Whoops. Almost tripped trying to look through the camera here. Let's see. Well, that's the pole lathe. If you have any questions, just leave them in the comments. So this is the turning process. Get my footboard where it's clear of any obstructions. You can see kind of the cord kind of comes right through the two 2x4s there, around the stock a couple of times. Then it goes up to the bungee cord. Then I've got my rest I put in. Get my gouge back out. And you can see this was a piece of 2x2 that I got from Home Depot. Just kind of use it to practice on. I might make a hand reel with it, is what I'm thinking. Maybe a couple of them. And you can see You just kind of hold it at an angle, and it's all about getting the right angle with your gouge. And it only cuts on the downstroke. The downstroke's the power stroke because I'm pushing with my foot. Gravity's, or the bungee cord's actually doing the retrieval. My foot's pushing down. That's where the power comes from. And so as it cuts, I'm going to kind of lean in a little bit with the gouge here. You can see, here's the round what I got. The round goes quick. When it gets to the square, you have to kind of back off a bit with the gouge and just kind of ease into it. And the squeaking does get on your nerves sometimes, so it's good to be playing some music and some AirPods or headphones. But historically, this is how the lathe operated. It makes spokes for things and decorations and farm handles for tools. You can make, I've even seen people turn spoons. You can turn bowls on this pretty easy. That's probably, I'm going to do some of those here soon, as soon as I get this worked out. I just completed this yesterday, by the way, so it's still kind of new to me. I learned basic lathe work in wood shop in junior high school and high school. By the time the lathe, we started using in high school. We didn't have a power lathe or even a pole lathe in junior high school. The sad thing is, in today's society, wood shops getting taken out. It's deemed as, I guess, not as necessary, not as essential, I think is the word of the decade here, as the other subjects. But honestly, let me zoom up here. So I've learned more from my time in the shop, and I took electronics for a couple of years in high school, but I took wood shop from the 7th grade all the way up to graduation in several different schools between Tennessee and North Carolina. And I really think, as far as being applicable to life, my wood shop classes have taught me more in work and how to do things around the house. I really believe I learned more from shop than I did from algebra or anything like that. All right, I'm going to zoom back down, get some more shots of the actual turning here. Kind of like a 3D movie if it starts flying out at you. You can see as you move into the square, you want to hold it at a little angle. By no means am I trying to teach how to lathe, and then as it go a little slower, and as it gets rounder, you can pick up the speed. And as with any tool, you want to keep these pretty sharp. So. See, it's working. It's slow, but it's working. And so, the pole lathe. If you have any questions, like I was saying, just leave them in the comments. I repeat myself a lot, I know, but I think it's pretty cool, and I think it's going to come in useful here in the workshop. This is JB reminding you to get outside and go wild.